We'll sing it with you. We'll sing it together because Lucy won't. Okay, ready?
Every Who down in Whoville likes Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lives just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, just hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings,
he snarled with a sneer.
I must stop this Christmas from coming. It's tomorrow's Christmas, it's practically here.
For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, noise, noise. That's the one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast feast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this thing. I must find some way to stop Christmas, but how?
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat.
Thanksgiving turkey too much. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
And the Grinch looked around, But since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No! The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
so he called his dog Max.
Max!
Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded up some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said,
Yeah!
and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care when he came to the first little house on the square.
These stockings are the first things to go. Ah. Come on, Max.
Quick, you have two hats on.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And he even began to stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard the small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was no more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, but you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick.
Why, this Christmas tree has a light. It's burned out on one side. I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then bring it back here.
And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her off to bed. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled.
Now to Mount Crumpet, to dump it. The Who's are just waking up. I know just what they'll do. The mouse will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo!
The Grinch did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without presents, without any at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming, it came. Somehow or other, it came just the same.
It came without boxes. It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. Somehow, Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
Ready?
And with what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. Oh, she's missing. Oh.
Where are you, Christmas? Why have you gone? Where is the laughter you used to bring me? Why can't I hear music playing? My world is changing, I'm rearranging. Does that mean Christmas changes too? The joy of Christmas stays here inside us, fills each and every heart with
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, He whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
And the narrator.